everybody. Respected chairperson of this session, Professor Abhimanyu Kumar, co-chair Professor Banni Goji, Professor Prasanna Rao ji, my present colleague Vaidya T.G. Vinod Kumar ji, and all the dignitaries who are connected to Ayurveda education and the audience. Namaskar and namaste to everybody from my side. First of all, I am very much thankful to the organizers for giving me opportunity to speak on the Ayurveda education in this August gathering. We started our work, means our team, we started our work in 2019 January by organizing a national conference on educational administration in IISc Bangalore. The basic intention was, when we used to discuss on the education, one question always comes in our mind or comes in our discussion, that why our graduates, they are not confident about the practice and what they learn from their college. So to understand this, the cause and or causes, this conference was organized, and we conducted a survey, first of its kind, and we took opinion of all education administrators of nearly 156 institutions all over India, and we asked them frequently discussed a questionnaire on frequently discussed issues in Ayurveda, and we get inputs from them there. Based on that, we prepared a report, and we have already submitted it to the Ministry of Ayush. Students are the student is an important component of education, because he is the person who is going to represent this field in the future. But nobody asks the student that what do you expect from the education, and that's why I think for the first time in the history of education, but not only in Ayurveda, maybe in the other faculties also, we have launched a nationwide survey, and we designed nearly 51 a questionnaire of 51 questions, and it was more of a sociological study, and that's why we hired the professional sociologists to conduct such type of surveys, and people from Ayurveda, and together they prepared this questionnaire, and it was launched, and nearly 2,000 students, they participated very enthusiastically, and they gave their opinion regarding the education of Ayurveda, what they expect from this education, what they want, what changes they feel that they should be there. And this was again a great exercise, and we had a data, very big data of 2,000 students in this regard. And based on these two opinions and the other personal opinions of our then executive leader, and I used to meet to the principals and the college owner associations, they gave us representation. We studied everything, and then we started working on the MSc, that is minimum standard of education, and it has been sent to ministry for the notification, and it was circulated to the states I think last year only, and it has come back to us. And again, the present BOG, they discussed over it, and then the final draft is sent to the ministry. We are waiting for the final notification. So while preparing this MSc, we were focusing on some issues. As you all know, Ayurveda is the only medical education in our country which is transformed from Gurukul system to university system. And it took almost 50 years now that this CCM Act is there. And before that also, that university education system was opted and adopted by this field. But during this adaptation of the new thing, what we have lost from our previous system is not recorded anywhere. That what we have lost from the our Gurukul system. Previously, a single Samhita used to be taught in Gurukulam, and the outcome, as you know, there were many famous physicians and may not be famous, but this system, they served this country for nearly 2000 years. So we can believe that with some ups and downs, that education system worked successfully for nearly 2000 years. And then we transformed to this university system. But when we transformed to this university system, we made some changes in 1970. Only that we opted for the pure anatomy, pure physiology, and we have changed the name of our subjects, and more subjects were introduced. And it was more or less similar to the modern, even today it is more or less similar to the modern medical education system. Those were the changes. Gradually came, we started post graduations, and before that, there were no official post graduations in Gurukul system. Is at least it is not recorded, or we don't know. We can. So when these changes happened in the education, and we opted for the university system, our syllabus was not prepared accordingly, and hence we searched for the reason, and we found out that in Ayurveda we don't have formally trained education and education technology. So we hired education technologists from the outside, and we started working with them. And a competency-based syllabus, the exercise on competency-based syllabus was started. Two, three things are still missing in Ayurveda, and we are trying to do that. What should be the teaching load of a teacher in Ayurveda college is not defined, and unfortunately, nobody has calculated up till now. And that's why how many teachers are required to teach a 50 student class for 5 years is again in a little bit arbitrary stage, because we have not yet calculated it. And why in the similar modern medicine course it is much more than us is also not, means that question is also unanswered as we do. So based on these understandings, we started creating competency-based syllabus, and the teams were prepared, and people started. Means subject expert committee were constituted, and we gave training to them first, that how to prepare a competency syllabus, and they started working on that, and the syllabus of all subjects of first professors are ready with us now, and the teachers training is going on subsequently, because when we are opting new things, we must train or we must make not only aware our teachers, but we must train our people regarding the same. So that activity is still going on, and people are working on this. At the same time, what we have seen that we must train our people also in education technology. So now we have a team of people, and we want to expand that team to a much greater number, say around in thousands. That our teacher should get uh, formal training regarding education technology, and then only we can implement that exercise going on. Another observation we have made and we have studied. The thing is, what should be the proportion of theory to the practical? So in previous syllabus, it was many times 1:1, and many times it was little bit less. In Panchakarma, it was 1:1:1.3, 1.4, like that. So when we study the proportion of classroom teaching and the practical teaching in any way, then we found in all other faculties that if you want to construct a competence in this syllabus, and if you want to teach accordingly to the student, this proportion should be properly calculated. And when we study the other branches, including engineering, pure science, medical science, and so many other branches, we found that it should be 1:2, at least 2. That is one uh, lecture. If you are conducting one lecture of then 1 hour lecture, then 2 hours should be there for the practical. So the understanding of practical in old terminology is little bit different than our understanding. So we use the term lectures and non-lectures. So what non-lecture includes? Non-lecture includes the laboratory training or laboratory practical. Non-lecture includes the clinics and clinical training. Non-lecture includes the group discussion. Non-lecture includes the problem-based solution or problem-based learning. Non-lecture includes the is going to the field and getting information regarding a subject, particularly health, and particularly related to public health. So all these things comes under non-lecture. So uh,
आपकी वॉइस काफी लो आ रही है सर। सर
what to
स्पीकर को
do?
थोड़ा, सर वो माइक्रोफोन को थोड़ा पास कर ले मे बी, और या वॉल्यूम अगर हम कुछ कर पाए।
Now it is
यस सर, नाउ इट इज क्लियर, बेटर।
now it is better. Okay, thank you,
थैंक
thank you.
थैंक यू सर।
So these changes we are planning to bring from the second professional, because from second professional, these all these practical subject they come into existence. We have introduced the initiation program for 15 days, because as you all know, when our student come for the first year, many times they are not aware about the atmosphere and the subjects and the syllabus and the other things. So that introductory program of 15 days, along with the Sanskrit speaking course that we are insisting on, because many times we found that our students without Sanskrit background, they are very much afraid about the language. And in this spoken Sanskrit program, it doesn't give much about the how to read samhitas and all, but it gives confidence. It is like speaking English. Those who speak in English, like the students of the convent schools, it is not necessary that they understand the English grammar properly. The confidence which they develop is more important. That's why this 15 days program is introduced, and that's why this introductory program is introduced uh, in this lab. Another important thing is we are teaching our students only about the medicine, and we are not aware. We don't make them aware about what is happening in the world. So we divided the course into two parts. One is main course and other elective. So electives will remain the online courses, and we are planning to have many online courses because students must have a choice. If some student want to understand what is robotic surgery, then it will be an introduction to the robotic surgery, 40-45 hours program. and he will complete that program, and he will get online certificate. If somebody wants to learn about Bruksha Ayurveda, then that also we are planning. If somebody wants to learn about Gaja Ayurveda, then there will be a certificate course or online certificate course. But these subjects will not be the part of main course. Main course will be taught in the college, and these electives will be online courses, which is expected from the student that he should complete it, because the choice is his, which subject he wants to. He may choose personality development, he may choose the communication skill or anything. It could be, or it could be something modern like microbiology or biochemistry, or regarding cancer treatment or palliative treatment, or like that. Whatever the is, there is a very big list we have prepared of around 70, and more subjects are also welcome all the time. So when that's we are expecting that student should complete minimum 3 online courses of a short duration of 40-45 hours during his vacations, and he should generate a certificate, online certificate, and based on that he will get a credit of 10 marks in his viva of the related subject. That will not be exactly whichever. If he is doing introductory course in Vriksha Ayurveda, it doesn't mean that he will get 10 marks in Dravagam. It will be, he may choose anything, and that will be related to the viva, 10 marks in his viva. That is what planning. That is what another new thing we are planning to add it. Uh, One more thing regarding UG education is, as I told you, we have transformed from Gurukul system to Kulguru system or university system. And in Gurukul system, the Samhitas were the main textbook. And in this new system, all Samhitas became theoretical subject. It's non-clinical. As you must all be knowing, I am a practitioner of Ayurveda, and my practice is based on Samhita. And in our place, we teach these Samhitas to the students and to the practitioners particularly. And all the practitioners, they get very much benefited by studying Samhitas in their practice in two ways. One is knowledge, and other is, very frankly, I want to tell, the money they get from their practice. So all these things, they are associated with the Samhita. So we are trying to teach Samhita as a clinical subject, because Samhita should be taught bedside, not in a classroom. That is what the intent. Another important idea regarding this Samhita is, the present system is, we are teaching Padartha, our Ashtanga Hridaya, Sutrasthan in the first year or first profession, and then Charak Samhita in two parts in second and third year, or like that. Two of Charak Samhita were there. So I was searching for the committee who created these two parts of Charak Samhita and in CCI. And I found that there is no logic for that. Who created, I asked many people, and the final conclusion is, actually Zaukamba had 2 volumes of Charak Samhita, and based on these 2 volumes, these two parts or two papers are divided in the CCI. So the discussion came, why we should not teach only one Samhita, so for all the year. And that's why that idea also came up. Then with the expert committee, there was a suggestion, no, few part of the Ashtanga Hridaya is also essential. So because the expert committee said that, we also agreed with that. So some part of Ashtanga, we will start with some part of Ashtanga Hridaya. But for the rest of the time, only that Charak Samhita they have decided. We have not decided. We have kept it open. for the expert committee which Samhita should be taught, because that is not our domain. They are the experts. So we decided to teach Charak Samhita for the remaining part. That is another thing regarding Samhita. Another important is Padartha Vignan. And Padartha Vignan we are teaching as a philosophy. And during my, as is mentioned by Shalini ji, that I am little bit wandering here and there in the field of research. So I conducted many experiments of just out of curiosity regarding the principles of Padartha Vignan, and I found that it is nothing but more of a physics than philosophy. And that's why I asked the teachers, can you teach Padartha Vignan in the language of physics? Because the students, they are coming from 12th, they have this background of physics, chemistry, and biology. And that's why they said that yes, we can try. So for trial basis, some portion is also given to them to actually to experiment with Padartha Vignan, whether we can teach them as a physics, or you can say a physics as a basis of Ayurveda. And in of course the language they understand. So these are all the initiatives we are working on this. We have submitted proposal to the government of India, and when it will come, it will be immediate. For this Sanskrit also, we have increased the number of teaching hours only for the reason that he should know the Sanskrit to understand Samhita or the textbook. So in previous Sanskrit, which I or many of you have learned in your colleges, was basically Sahitya based. We learned Kumar Sambhavam, we learned Panchatantra, and so many things. So this new Sanskrit syllabus, we are mainly focusing on the Sanskrit useful for Ayurveda, and that's why, as it is told by Shalini, I was the chairman of the textbook committee of CCM, and that time we have created a Sanskrit textbook of Ayurveda, and in that basically the terms we use in Ayurveda are being given more important. And for teaching this Vyakaranam, we are taking references from Ashtanga Hridayam, and as a supplementary work, we are focusing more on Vriksha Ayurveda and Gaja Ayurveda, like that. Many Sanskrit technical granthas are there having very good literary value. So the idea is, with the help of them, we should make them understand the Sanskrit which is needed for Ayurveda or to read the Samhita. So these are the basic initiatives. Another thing which we are observing, but we have not, uh, it needs brainstorming, or it needs, again small group discussions. That we have a classification of non-clinical, paraclinical, and clinical. But when you go to Ayurveda, everything is clinical, nothing is non-clinical. Another important thing is we opted for anatomy or uh, Rachana Sharir. But our original Sharir we are not teaching independently. We have Sharistan, independent teaching, and with that Sharistan, our ancestors, they used to learn the applied anatomy, applied physiology. So that applied aspect is somewhere is missing. So how can we incorporate? This is another challenge, and we put it in front of the expert committee, and I hope they will work and they will find out some solution or the other. Another challenge is nowadays we are using all modern investigative procedures while treating the uh, patients in our Ayurveda clinic by Ayurveda. So the interpretation of these investigations in terms of Ayurveda, that uh, we must learn and we must talk. For a simple reason, we know that if there is a Janushi in old patient, then and this is Janu Sandhigatvat, and it could be Margavarojanya or it could be Dhatukshayajanya. But we have not yet standardized a simple X-ray of Janu. X-ray is a old technique. That this X-ray is of Dhatukshayajanya Vatavruddhi, and this X-ray is of Margavarojanya uh, Vatavruddhi. That type of description is not there. Many of the our Vaidyas, they are treating, and many hospitals, I can say, very successfully, Patigatvat, Manyagatvat, Manyashu, all these they are addressed and they are very well treated. But we are not standardizing MRI scan from our viewpoint that in or in our language. Or so if we will do that, it will be easy for our student to feel confident while treating the Ayurveda patient. Now, when we refer the investigations, we talk in a different terminology, and when we treat the patient, we use a different terminology. So that paradox is there, and that in clinical practice, that also we should try to remove by making changes in our syllabus and our teaching. Another problem, not it is not a problem, it is a style of teaching that our teachers, they are angel on the dais. They come on the dais, they speak, they teach, and they go. Whether we want it, this is also this is successfully we are doing, no doubt. There are good teachers, they are very good communicators, and many students, including me, we are taking name of our teachers who taught in this style. But in new system, in competency-based syllabus, what is expected from the teacher is he should be a guide by side, not angel on the dais. So how we can make our teacher to teach as a guide by side to our student is another challenge, or that is exactly what we want to do in teaching science or pedagogy. You can so this also we must uh, try to change the things in our system, and then only we will be attuned with the present era, and our syllabus will not be. Once I had a very embarrassing situation I can share because um, Ayurveda stalwarts are here. Once I met with a person and somebody introduced me that he is president of CCI, and that time I was president of CCI. And then he told yes. Then he told me that that fellow, he was not Ayurvedic person, a foreign medical doctor. But interested in Ayurveda. And he told, I many times I tell this story. And he told, yes. I remember this. I have visited your site and I saw your syllabus. I saw the smallest syllabus in the world on your website. I was shocked. The smallest syllabus means what? So when I went, I checked the website and I found that our Samhita syllabus is of only 3 lines, and that is what he was referring. So we have not given any explanation and or any distribution of the work. So now the coming Samhita syllabus, a bigger one, much bigger one, and that's why this competency syllabus exercise is almost complete for the first professional, and it will be implemented as government approves. So that is only my submission. And I am very much thankful to the students, to the teachers, to many people who contributed in this exercise. And there were very nice inputs from many people. They came to office and they gave it in writing. They discussed with us, and many things happened for creating all this. And the happiest thing is, I am happy with the situation that hereafter we will have our own education technology. We will look after all these processes. So I am very much thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to put my views and initiatives taken by the CCI. And namaskar and dhanyawad.